My aunt, who is now 40 years old, has 3 kids all under the age of 10. Whenever there's a family gathering, I, being 23 years old, end up becoming the unofficial babysitter so that the adults can enjoy their drinks. Yesterday was my aunt's birthday dinner, and my mom assured me that I wouldn't have to babysit since the kids would be at a friend's house. As soon as I step foot into their home, I'm greeted by 2 ear-piercing screams from the kids, expressing how much they've missed me, along with a toddler making joyful noises. It becomes clear to me instantly that I might have been misled. I don't usually drink much because I can't handle it well, but since it was a special occasion, I had made some plans. So while my aunt goes to greet my mom in the hall, I reach into my backpack, grab one of the 2 12% Viking beers I had specially ordered for myself and my uncle. He enjoys unique beers. And we start drinking. Around 3 minutes later, my aunt notices the can in my hand and starts yelling at me for drinking while taking care of the kids, though her voice sounds distant to me. I remind her about my mom's promise, but she insults me, using offensive language, and insists that the kids will be staying here. Feeling frustrated, I extend my hand and tell her that I'll stop drinking and take care of the emergency babysitting if she pays me $200. She firmly rejects the idea, so in response, I chug the entire half-liter can of beer to the loud cheers and laughter from my dad and uncle. When I finish, I jokingly say, "Happy birthday, mommy sister," while burping. My mom looks incredibly embarrassed for my aunt, and my dad, who is the designated driver, ends up taking care of the kids for the entire night. I think he might consider scheduling a vasectomy soon.
During lunchtime, my co-workers, our foreman and I had a routine of gathering in the foreman's small hut. Every day I would find myself about to sit on an empty 5-gallon bucket with a lid. But just as I was about to settle down, one of my co-workers would kick it away, causing laughter among everyone. At first it was amusing, but soon enough it grew tiresome. So one day, I came up with a mischievous plan. I decided to cut off the bottom of the bucket, fill it with nuts and bolts, and place the lid back on. The next lunchtime arrived, and as expected, our foreman attempted to kick the bucket. However, this time it didn't budge, frustrating him. He angrily picked it up and threw it across the room, unaware of the surprise awaiting him. The nuts and bolts spilled out from the bottom, creating a hilarious scene that had everyone in the hut bursting with laughter. I had brought along a camping chair, which I promptly unfolded and sat on, teasingly remarking, "Damn man, looks like you have a mess cleanup."
A few years ago, I was on my way to take a final exam for my music history class when I realized I had forgotten to bring a Scantron. In a rush, I stopped by the college bookstore to grab one. It was there that I encountered a woman whom I'll refer to as her. She appeared to be in her mid-50s, with deep wrinkles etched on her face from years of wearing a perpetual scowl. As I approached the counter with the Scantron in hand, I pulled out my card to pay. However, her pointed to a sign that stated a $10 minimum purchase requirement. Yes, you read that right. $10 for a simple Scantron that cost around 20 cents. I could understand a $5 minimum, but $10 seemed excessive. Realizing I didn't have any spare change in my pocket, I noticed a jar labeled, "Take a penny, leave a penny." Thinking I could use a couple of dimes left by someone else, I reached over to grab them. But before I could, her swiftly placed her hand over the jar, declaring that I could leave change, but not take any. At that moment, I had a choice to make. I could either get upset and argue, or I could play along with the game she seemed to enjoy. Opting for the latter, I calmly told her that I understood and pretended there were a few more items I needed to buy. I proceeded to wander through every nook and cranny of the store, picking up various small items worth around $200 from the most inconvenient spots imaginable. With my basket full, I made my way back to the counter, where her wore a triumphant smile, believing she had outsmarted me. Little did she know what I had planned. As soon as I signed for the items, I turned to her and said, "I'd like to return everything except for the Scantron, please." Her reaction was explosive. She unleashed her anger, calling campus police and summoning other workers for support. When the campus police arrived, they calmly informed her that my actions were perfectly legal. Despite her inability to accept it, she begrudgingly refunded me for everything except the Scantron. With a smirk, the campus police advised me not to repeat my stunt. I respectfully nodded, bid them farewell, and made my way to my final exam.
When I was 18 years old, I tried online dating. Living near the Canadian border in the US, I decided to go on a first date with someone to Canada since I couldn't drink in the US, but could across the border. We wanted to go to a bar and casino, so he picked me up in his small sports car, and we drove through the border together. We played games, had drinks, and had an okay time. As the night went on, I reached a point where I had enough to drink and didn't want any more. I made it clear to my date that I was done drinking and wanted to head home. However, he insisted on getting us another round of drinks, handing me a large Long Island iced tea. I told him directly that I couldn't drink it because I had reached my limit. Unfortunately, he didn't take it well and became pushy. He argued that I had to drink it since he bought it for me, saying it would be a waste of money if I didn't. Despite my repeated refusals, he continued to pressure me. I felt frustrated and upset, realizing I had put myself in a difficult situation with this persistent man in another country. After arguing for some time, I reached a breaking point and devised a plan. I agreed to go home with him after finishing the drink. I took the drink from him and chugged it. As we drove back towards the border, I noticed how proud he was of his car, bragging about its features and how much he loved it. I ignored him and focused on controlling my queasy stomach, determined to at least make it through the border crossing. Finally, we passed through the border crossing, and the moment we entered the US, I turned to face him directly. I confronted him, expressing my displeasure about him forcing alcohol on me despite my clear boundaries. I emphasized that I knew my limits, and his disregard and disrespect towards my choices bothered me. I reminded him that there was a valid reason why I couldn't have more to drink. While maintaining eye contact, I couldn't hold it any longer and started vomiting in his car. I had anticipated this and positioned myself to cause maximum damage, splattering vomit on the seat, the floor, and even the dashboard. He panicked, but I continued crying and telling him that it was his fault. I gave him an ultimatum: take me home or let me out of the car immediately. Otherwise, I would call the police. He dropped me off at home and I never saw him again.
Please like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Thank you.